Hi, everyone. Carm O'Sullivan here, Heart to Heart Medium. Once again, we're here to have a person tell their story of how they came to the Heart Center. I have Scott Aksamit.
You got it.
Who, thank you. It's a hard name to pronounce,
is.
guys. So I have him here today because he has a very heartfelt story. Amazing, I think, too. And you now are living your best life. You're a coach, life coach, group leader, martial arts expert, teacher. And for you to get there, you had to experience some pain.
Indeed.
I'm going to let you tell your story. I'm just going to sit here and be the fly on the wall.
Well, thanks for giving me the opportunity. by the
Oh,
way,
I'm
'cause
just so happy to have you here.
I know that there's, I'm sure, people going through similar stuff, and I hope that this helps a little. My martial arts journey started 2 days before Christmas because my brother was killed in a tragic car accident when I was 12. And when that happened, I really lost a lot more because, well, we lived on a farm. We were surrounded by state forest. My brother was like the only playmate that I had, and we played baseball all the time. That was our thing. And when I lost him, I lost my buddy, I lost my brother, and I also lost my belief in God. I actually
Wow.
felt that God is not this good being. God is an angry kid with a magnifying glass, and I'm the ant.
Wow.
And I put myself into a really heavy place because of that circumstance.
How old were you again?
12.
12 years old. Okay.
And my parents were active in the church and things like that, but when you lose something like that's a knee-jerk reaction. You go to blame and you go to that level. So I was on a pretty heavy negative energy at this point. And baseball fell apart for me. My grades were falling apart. I was awful at school because I was in trouble all the time. And everything was just getting worse and worse and worse. My parents were trying everything they could think of. They were trying therapy, their church youth groups, everything that they could possibly think of, and nothing was working because I was bouncing between tremendous anger and depression. I would naturally go into anger because your body doesn't like to be in depression. But I would do it at inappropriate times, at school, at church, things like that. And it would just lead me to get in trouble, and I would be realizing my depression is accepted, but my anger isn't.
Interesting.
And so I would hide that anger, and I stayed in depression. And my parents, I guess, came to a calling when I told my counselor I was going to take my ATV off a cliff and end it. And that's when they said, we got to find something else. And they heard about martial arts. I wanted to do martial arts since I was like 6 years old. I saw Bruce Lee movies. I thought they were cool. I wanted to do that. My mom saw Bruce Lee movies and the blood going across the guy's chest and all the violence, and she's like, you're not doing that. So she was initially resistant to it, but then allowed me to participate. And I still remember my first day going into the martial arts academy. There was an adult class going on. I was 13 years old. And these adults were kicking these shields with like bone-breaking power. It was super intimidating, very exciting, and I felt totally at home. And I met my instructor at that point. His name was Professor Greg Silva. And when he shook my hand, I knew two things. This guy could crush me, and he loves me. It was bizarre. It was bizarre to sense that power.
What was the energy like? Was it the energy of his handshake?
And his look. Like, I'm going to help you. I'm going to guide you.
Eye to eye?
Eye to eye.
I love that.
And you're going to listen to me. And you're going to do what I say. Because I've been where you are, and I know how to get out of it. And it was that male role model, intense male role model, love and authoritative, that really got my attention. So I started training, and the great thing about martial arts is my anger was totally accepted. And, hit this heavy bag, boom, and I'm going at it. And he's, whoa, I like your spirit. This is good. All of a sudden, this natural, healthy emotion is being allowed to be expressed. And then it was utilized. Okay, I could see you're hitting with anger. Now let's hit with control. Let's hit with focus. Let's channel this into something better. And so all of this, these are all little deposits, and that's what I say. They're deposits. These little life lessons that happen at the right time. Like I remember when he said, "You're under challenge. Go fight in the adult division." When I was 15 years old, when I was doing a stretching exercise, he was going to put my leg to the wall, and I wouldn't scream. And he goes, "I like that attitude. You never give up." And just these little things. He handed me a T-shirt when I was 16 years old. It said, "East West Karate fights drugs," and he looked at me and go, "You going to wear that?" "Yeah, I'm going to wear it." "Well, then you better mean it."
Wow.
Just really powerful, impactful, quick, almost soundbite like, that's deposited and shifted me. Now, I started doing martial arts because I wanted revenge, and entered into competition, had a very successful competitive career. I ended up competing in the biggest martial arts tournament when I was 16.
Wow.
It's called the International Karate Championships. It was kids from Brazil, Australia, Japan, China. I mean, it was like an Olympic event for martial arts. And I won that tournament, and it gave me the right to test for my black belt early. Most people, it takes 5 to 6 years. It was 3.5.
Wow.
And I had the opportunity to test in front of my instructor's instructor, whose name was Ed Parker.
Okay.
Now, you may have never heard about him, but if you've heard of Elvis Presley or Bruce Lee,
Yes.
then you know a connection that Ed Parker had, because Ed Parker got Bruce Lee's movie career started because he knew all the Hollywood elites and trained them. And if you look at Elvis Presley's guitar, he's got a little sticker on it. That's the IKKA patch. And that's Ed Parker's symbol for his martial arts style. So he was a bodyguard for Elvis and a very close friend. So I knew all this. I read all the guy's books. And when he said, Master Parker's going to come down and test you, I'm like, yes, maybe. This is going to be awesome. So we do the test. It was an 8-hour exam. Hardest thing that I did at that point in my life, which I think was the value of the test. I broke both of my hands. You could still see the bumps from the board break that didn't go quite well.
That is crazy.
The sparring that we did, I had to have my ankle taped together because it was flopping around. My nose was a little more crooked than it should be. And I was bumped and bruised everywhere, all over my body. Except I felt amazing. I felt absolutely amazing.
So let me ask you.
Sure.
Was it the anger then, or what was that feeling? Because underground you had the anger, or were you still carrying it?
Oh yeah, I was still carrying it. It wasn't the anger that was getting me through that test. It was the acceptance.
Okay.
I really felt that from everybody in the room. There's real acceptance here. I belong here. And that's what made it that you could break your hand on the board break and they hold it back up and you do it again, because everybody expects you to be successful. So it's that feeling that I think helps heal the anger.
I love that. That's the acceptance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that was highlighted at the end of the test. I did pass, and at the end of the test, Master Silva, at this point, no longer professor, had a little celebration. And so me and this guy, Kevin, who was one of the regulars, one of the black belts already, just came there to beat up all the other wannabe black belts to see if they're tough enough. We're sitting on this little love seat couch. And Ed Parker decided that he was going to sit between us. Now, Ed Parker was a huge guy. He was over 6 feet tall. His fingers were literally like carrots. And he would hit you with just his fingers. You'd be like, oh my God, that was crazy. Because he used to stuff his hands into buckets of pebbles to toughen him up. So, I mean, his hands were just like crazy. So he reaches over, puts both of his arms around Kevin and I, and starts telling stories like Grandpa.
Wow.
And that's where I felt the acceptance.
Okay.
So at that new feeling, again, totally exhausted mentally, I get in my car and I'm headed home. And as I'm headed home, I have that autopilot feeling. You know, you go one way to work all the time and you're supposed to go to the store, but you end up at work before you realize what you did. So I'm feeling this, and as I'm feeling this, my side view mirror hits a mailbox. So I get out, I check the mirror, it's fine. Check the mailbox. It belongs to the guy who killed my brother.
Oh my gosh. There's no coincidences in life, by the way. That's crazy.
I've spent close to the last 4 years of my life developing my body to be a fighter, to get the revenge on the guy who hurt my family like that. And here I am, the day of my test, which was the promise. Once I get my black belt, I'm doing this. And I'm here at his front door. So I took it as a sign from God. I got to take care of business.
Whoa.
So I started walking up towards his door, and I still remember it was nighttime, gorgeous Connecticut, crystal clear sky. And in Connecticut, I mean, I was in farm country. It was not a
beautiful area.
Totally stars. I mean, so many stars. And it made me pause. And I still remember the smell of the overgrown pine trees leading up to his house, and I saw his dirty screen door and a few crumbling steps, and I realized that's it. That's the only thing in between me and the revenge I've been looking for. And I tried to get myself into that fight mode, tried to get myself pumped up, ready for what's about to happen. I couldn't do it. I couldn't get myself going there.
Wow.
And then I realized, at first I'm like, where is this anger? Where is this intensity that I've been able to tap into so easily my whole life? And it's gone. And then I felt a new word. No, it's healed.
Wow.
And that's what forgiveness feels like.
Yeah.
When it fully heals. I've told that story before, and people ask me, what happened with you and the other guy? Did you hug it out or what? No, that's what healing is. There was no connection to him anymore.
Letting it go. There's no more cords. You unplugged from him.
Yes, 100%. I wish him well. I hope nothing bad happens to him. I see the alignment with all of it now.
Everything kind of had to happen the way it did, didn't it? In some ways.
How do you compete at that level in a sport that requires physical breakdown of your body without that level of intensity?
Yeah.
And there was a huge advantage for me in competition. How many kids that I was fighting in my teens that had none of that passion, none of that.
You had the fire in the belly. That's what I call
Absolutely.
it, fire in the belly. And the athletes I see who are successful have to have that fire in the belly.
There's no doubt. It's a gift.
It is. It truly is, and it's something that's built in. You just had to have it ignited, unfortunately, with your brother's death.
I don't see it as unfortunately now.
Okay, I like that actually, because I don't believe death is, a sadness. It's just a separation.
Yeah, it's a change. I did have my brother come see me a couple times after he passed, and it was funny. He never came to see me when I was angry. The more angry I would get.
Where were you when he came to see you? What were the circumstances?
Before I started martial arts, I got into drumming. It was something I could do on my own. So I was playing the drums, and again, initially I was feeling some of that anger, and I was putting it into hitting the drum heads, and I started to enjoy myself, and I started to let go of that anger, and I started just enjoying drumming, and I'm just like, yeah, I love this rhythm, and I love this sound. And it's not that I saw him come in the room, but I felt, I could.
You knew he was there.
Yeah, it wasn't my eyes or my ears that were telling me, but I stopped, I looked right over there, I knew he was there, and he goes, that's more like it. And he walked out of the room.
So that would be claircognizance, just knowing.
Okay.
And did you hear him in your mind's eye?
Yeah, it's not like, not like this.
It's clairaudient.
Yeah.
There's two different clairs you had there.
It's almost like I was feeling what he was feeling.
Yeah.
But I translated it into those words.
I love that. What was another time he came to visit?
Through a dream.
Okay.
That was the before the suicide, when I was thinking of suicide.
Oh.
He was at the bottom of the stairs. I felt myself wake up from the dream. This was, I'm going to commit suicide the next day. It was my thought process. And I came to the top of the stairs, and he gave me a vision of my mom crying.
Okay,
That did it.
That stopped. That
Yep.
broke that thought process.
He goes, you're better than this.
He was really in tune to you.
Oh, yeah.
Still is.
Super so.
Yeah. He's kind of like your twin, your silent twin almost, it feels like.
Well, he's definitely my big brother. There's
Yeah.
no doubt about that.
No, but he follows you. Do you feel like he's one of your guides, maybe, if you want to call it that?
Oh, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
Like the day that he died, we greeted each other like brothers,
Yeah.
Hey, dipshit. Hey, asshole. What's going on? That's how we talk to each
I
other.
understand that.
Well, the morning that he died, I tried to engage him like that, and he leaned up against the wall and he smiled at me like, I'm going to miss this. And I felt that he knew this. I knew it was coming. It was part of his path, and he was totally cool with it.
I think that's amazing, and I do know a lot of people who have told me that too, where they know the person knows they're going ahead of time. I just read for a mother who lost her son who was murdered, and her son told her a day before he wasn't long for this world. And I think it's interesting how the soul somewhat knows.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's subtle, very subtle. And some kids still say, I'm not going to be living past 40. And you hope that it's not true. But
I even saw this our animals. We had 2 dogs. Both of them passed at this point, but they were litter mates, and one got sick, but then immediately got better, and he was better for weeks. And we're like, oh, this is awesome,
Yeah, he's back.
It healed. And then one day, the other dog would not go near him, and was acting like, I gotta be away, I gotta be away, I gotta be away.
That is weird you say that. I get that. What happened?
That's the day he died. He died in our house.
Animals, I had 2 cats. And the one cat was an awesome cat. The other one was kind of persnickety and hard to love, but we did love him. And when our nice, sweet cat, Clancy, was dying, that other cat was like, stay away from me, don't come near me, I know what's happening to you. And we didn't know what was going on at the time. And when he passed, we knew then what he was trying to say.
Yeah,
They sense it.
I know, it's amazing.
It's
amazing.
weird. I mean, I tell you, I think animals know death. They also understand it, and they come back to visit. I've had that happen with me. In this whole journey of yours, and I'm going to ask this question, would you change anything?
No,
Even your brother leaving this earth?
no.
Okay. I mean, to me, I feel like without darkness, we don't find our light.
I don't even consider it darkness.
Wow.
I really don't. It was a dark point in my life, but I was blocking out the light. It wasn't
Thank
something
you.
that was
Yeah.
done to me. It was my response to it.
Right. Right.
That metaphor, God's an angry kid, and I'm the ant.
That's so
That metaphor
crazy.
is so destructive.
Yeah.
And once I got rid of that metaphor, then things get better in your life. And it's so important. One of the things that I want to utilize for coaching, I call them language loops.
Oh, okay.
People get stuck in a language loop. I learned this through martial arts. The parents would bring the kid to me, and they go, my kid has ADD, he's hyperactive, he's always getting in trouble, he's on
Labels.
medication.
Yeah.
So there's this loop, right?
Right.
And so the kid hears all this. Now he starts to adopt these language loops. I have ADD, I'm hyperactive, I get in trouble all the time, it's so frustrating, nobody understands me, I have ADD. So he's now setting up this pattern
Right.
that's setting up his behavior.
That's the expectation.
Exactly. And that's the cause of the discomfort. So me running around going, God's an angry kid with a magnifying glass and I'm the ant, everything I looked at was punishment. Everything that happens to me is punishment. So what happens? I throw a chair at the teacher, I get punished. I get frustrated with the therapist, and I get punished. Everything I'm doing, I'm getting punished. Why? Because that was my language loop.
That's amazing. What age do you think? At 12, here you are, a little boy, lose your best friend, your best person who you relate to. How long did it take you to transfer? And how old were you when you finally let everything go?
Literally that test at his door.
16?
Yeah.
Wow.
I I felt gradual improvement, no doubt. I won that big tournament. I was rated and had some success in these things, and those things always felt good. But they felt good, but I was still holding on to the anger.
So, what would you tell a parent today who is suffering with a child who has lost a mate, a parent? I have people I read for all the time, and children are always affected for the loss, like a father who was killed. What would you say to them?
Depression is the lowest emotion that you could possibly feel, and anger is your soul's natural reaction to get out of that depression. Let them be pissed off. You're supposed to be pissed off at one point.
Oh, absolutely.
And then elevate it from there. That's what my instructor did. He didn't lecture me on forgiveness, not once, not once.
Never said the F word, forgiveness?
He never said forgiveness, not to me, not once.
Wow.
He never tried to guide me into doing something that I wasn't ready to do.
Okay.
Like I said, it was these other deposits.
Do you think he just kind of came around the horn without using the word? Slowly?
I think he elevated my emotional state so that I found forgiveness naturally.
Okay. I love that.
And he did it through praise. I like that kick. Well, that made me feel good. It made me feel like a good person.
Changed your loop.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, positive thoughts and positive words bring positive outcomes in my mind.
100%.
The more we tell a person, hey, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. The problem is that person will keep doing it in my mind.
Yeah, whatever you're going to resist is going to persist. In martial arts, you cannot apply techniques on other people when they do not give you an initial energy first. It's something I called oppositional harmony, meaning the harder I try to throw this kick at you and score with it, the easier it is for you to defend. I have to wait until you give me the right opportunity with a mistake in your footwork or a zig instead of a zag, where that kick will now fit in perfectly.
So you use the word energy in that. That
Yes.
was interesting. So you have to wait for the right opportune, energetic moment?
Yes, exactly,
Okay.
100%. So when you're training in martial arts, the first part, it's very rigid. You know, you're doing the movement in the air just to get your body acclimated with how to move this way. Then you'll use equipment. You'll hit the heavy bag or something, and that helps you get a more but then you have to spar. And when you spar, you treat it like equipment initially. You just stand there, and I'm going to try to hit you with this, and the guy's like, nope, nope, nope,
Moving
nope.
it out.
And they are able to defend it easily. You have to dance with this partner. You have to harmonize with this partner. You have to accept that this is what they're giving you, and you have to tolerate. Well, tolerate's the wrong word. Accept is the right word. This is where I am right now. This is what they're putting me in.
Okay.
And this is my way out of it. And back to that thing, what would you say to parents that are going through this with a kid that's, well, this is what they're going through right now. They're sad, they're depressed, they're angry, they're scared, they're worried. Be okay with it. Don't try to change those negative emotions, because those negative emotions are the first key to healing.
Wow. I love this. This is
The
amazing.
the next step is guidance. Now, you don't get guidance by trying to push the boulder up the hill. The boulder doesn't want to go up the hill yet.
Right.
It's natural for you to feel worried. I get it. And it's okay that you feel worried. You're a good kid. Those words go a lot further than stop crying.
That is so true, because you're not blocking the emotion, you're allowing for it, and then giving it a positive outcome. Like, it's okay.
I'm teaching a parenting seminar tomorrow, actually.
Are you really?
And I was, for the Martial Arts Academy, we do this just as like a monthly motivation to keep everybody on the right track.
I think parents really need to understand words are important. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing I teach just in my classes about ethics. Words are important. People don't forget them. They carry them sometimes way deep in their soul. And don't you want to have good words, not bad words? Negative words sit deeper, I think.
And those emotions are the real deep aspect. Because I think about that when Master Silva was saying those things, he meant them. That's what gave him power. I knew he meant it. Everything that came, it was never, I'm praising you because it's an exercise. He was looking deeply for the good in me. And when he saw it, he would celebrate it.
What was his background? Kind of interesting, it sounds like. He had some depth in him. He knew.
He started martial arts. His story was he started martial arts because he was the bully.
Oh,
And he met somebody that broke his nose.
wow.
And his father decided, you need to get better at this. And his healing was he stopped becoming a bully because he gained control over his body. The bully aspect of him was actually feeling powerless.
And most bullies are powerless.
They feel
Or they
powerless.
feel inferior, and they have to make you feel worse so they can feel okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so when he entered into that feeling of power, where I could hit this equipment or I could break this board, wow, I really have power in my body now. The powerlessness disappeared. So did the bullying.
Is your martial arts I know every martial arts has a philosophy. And so do you recommend parents to get kids into martial arts in the sense of boys and girls, I always believe? And which ones do you feel are really,
I don't recommend martial arts for parents. I recommend personal development.
okay,
And that personal development course might come in the course of tennis, horseback riding, martial arts, playing the drums. There's some activity that the child will resonate with.
right.
If it happens to be martial arts, go to a school that's a personal development academy that happens to just teach martial arts.
How do you find that out?
You ask them,
Okay,
what's most important to you? If they say Taekwondo is the way and it's the secret sauce and it's Taekwondo, it's Taekwondo, it's Taekwondo, and fill that with any style, you know, Kenpo or karate or Krav Maga. If they're promoting a style, they're not promoting character development.
thank you. That's what I know because right now there's that one show that's on that's kind of been big on Netflix. Have you heard
Cobra
of
Kai.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, I love Cobra Kai.
We've been watching it, and I like it because there's a lot of good,
Oh my God.
soulful messages in that show.
It's so cheesy.
It
It's
is
so
cheesy. It is so cheesy. But you know what? I think it reaches the kids
Mm-hmm.
and the parents because the parents remember watching the whole Karate Kid thing.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's funny that helped me get the last movie I saw with my brother was Karate Kid.
Oh,
That helped me
man.
get started in martial arts. That gave me the interest and the spark, really.
Interesting. Well, I feel like your life has been feeling like it's like now. Tell me about what you're doing now. You tell me what happened after you embraced your power of forgiveness and not needing to carry anything out. What happened after that?
I opened a martial arts academy. I was 18 when I
Wow.
did that. And initially, I opened the martial arts academy because I wanted to keep practicing to compete more. But
At 18, you did this.
I did.
Damn, that's good.
But as I started to teach people, initially, like when I first started teaching, I wanted to teach great athletes. I wanted to teach people to be world champions, all this kind of stuff. And I realized the naturally gifted athletes didn't have an interest in working with me. But the kids who wanted to be athletic but weren't naturally gifted were drawn to me. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I actually really loved working with that group of people, helping them find their athleticism.
Your power.
Exactly.
Because athleticism is just a power base for you for other things. I feel like when you're an athlete, you feel like you can handle most anything. When you're a good athlete, you
Yeah,
put time in it.
I know business owners that won't hire anybody other than successful athletes. If they didn't have a
Wow.
athletic career in high school, they would never even consider hiring them because they don't see that they're competitive enough to thrive.
It's interesting. Some people don't find their competitive edge till later, too.
Yeah, true. Absolutely.
Because they're busy doing creative things, or especially girls, I think. But so today, what is your message about your life? The power of, I would call it love, in a sense. I think I like to use the L word. Tell me a little bit more about how you affect as a team leader, business-wise. What do you use now to motivate, empower the people around you who you're working with?
When I'm working with, because that is an aspect of what I'm doing now. I'm helping more business owners,
Okay.
and they're in difficult language loops themselves. They're broke. COVID killed my business. All these kind of things.
Yeah.
They're
Yes.
running these loops, and I mean the real secret sauce of my process is this: how are they currently feeling? How do they need to feel in order to get results to change? And then I get them, or at least guide them, to those new emotional states.
Okay.
And once they start to feel those new emotional states, then they really gain power. I'll give you an example of this. One of my first students, Tina, was in an abusive relationship, physically abusive, mentally abusive, the whole thing. And she was a very shy, quiet, to herself person. I, at the time, did not know that she was ever going through this. And I never gave her a lecture, you got to leave this jerk, or any of
Right.
that stuff. It was more like, wow, you really move fast. That was powerful. I love that kick. And so as she's starting to do this, after about 2 years with me, she's at a green belt at this point, her whole body posture has changed. Like her natural body posture, walking around, her head doesn't go down.
Taller.
She's taller, she's stronger, she feels her power. And she left the guy.
Yay.
She had to feel the power first within her.
To be able to leave
Exactly.
the guy who empowered her for a long time, or tried to unempower her.
But yeah, she felt disempowered, so
Yeah.
she tolerated people who treated her without power.
Oh.
She was stuck in that. And when she lifted up her own vibration, her own emotional state, then she was no longer attractive to people who wanted to abuse her.
I almost want to call that loving yourself more.
Yes,
'Cause
100%.
that's the biggest thing I think in this world is we don't teach our kids to love themselves first.
I think that goes back to whatever your kid is going through, even if they're not dealing with a death, they're dealing with getting bad grades.
Right. Acceptance in the community of kids,
Yes.
which is very tough.
Well, yeah, social media and all this. If
Yeah.
they get sad or worried or frustrated, don't try to change that emotion. Let them have it.
Yeah.
I
I
think
like that idea. Let them have it.
you got to let them have negative emotion. Negative emotion is a part of the healing process. And when a parent sees negative emotion, realize they're only doing that negative emotion to feel better than they actually were feeling a minute ago. Depressed to anger. You don't go from depressed to massively appreciated and having power.
Right.
There's too many
There's steps. Right. So you think depression, anger, what's the next step?
Well, let's put these on the bottom, okay? Depression, self-loathing, unworthy, hopeless. Those are, there's no hope in the
Low
world.
vibration.
Yes. And that is where people commit suicide from. When you're angry, when you're pissed, you're stepping up.
Right.
When you go up into revenge, that's actually better than anger. You're actually actively thinking about things that you can do, steps that you could take. So that's an actual improvement.
Okay.
Now, if you go and now you get from that point of revenge to calculating, that's even a higher vibration.
Okay.
Because now you're engaging your intellect instead of your anger.
And
So-
your anger's in your heart, your intellect's in your head. That's what you
Correct.
just pointed at, so I want to,
Yeah, instead
Yeah.
of having that pressure here,
Here.
out of control.
you move it up to your head.
You move it up to your head where now it's in control. But none of those things sound good to people.
No.
Oh, you're going to calculate revenge? That's a good thing? Yes, it's a good thing. That's way healthier than depression because it's an active energy that gives you personal power. And once you start to do that calculating, you can run yourself through this process. Well, if I actually did implement that revenge, I wouldn't feel good about it. But you come to those conclusions on your own and you can get to the point of curiosity. Maybe there's a better way.
So how do you break the loop of once they're calculating that revenge, of not going through with it?
Get out
But-
of the way of it. The reason why the loop continues is because people fight against it. The
Okay.
reason why my anger continued is because people kept telling me to stop doing
Stop
it.
being angry.
Yeah.
It's okay.
You can't do that here. You get a detention. You act
Okay.
like that, well, I'm going to bully you too.
So what you're saying is the more you can move up in the energy field, energetically, calculating,
If I was a parent, I'd try to stay one energy above the child, myself.
Oh, I love that. Okay,
So here we are, we have the kid that's depressed.
right.
I would, and I've worked with so many people doing this. If I go to a kid who's at a very low energy place and I go, come on, let's go, we're going to really crush it. It doesn't work.
No.
But I go down on one knee and I go, it's okay. Give this a squeeze. That's the pad we're going to hit. See, it's nice and soft. So I start with where they
Slowly.
are.
Yeah.
But as I'm starting with where they are, I'm not feeling depressed. I'm feeling better than depressed. Now, as I interact with them on their pace, accepting of their emotion, but just being a little bit higher, they go, I like how this guy feels.
Okay.
So now they want to go up higher. So they hit the pad and they go with the barely movement. They go, yeah, good job. Do that again. And now we just start to build a little momentum from what they give
Yeah.
me. Now, eventually, if the kids, I've seen so many different things. I've seen kids jump out of depression with anger. I've seen kids jump out of depression with actual passion. Sometimes it skips a few beats just because they were allowed to be safe. I mean, all sorts of different things can happen. But if you just hold a higher energy than what they're currently feeling, then they will always know that you feel better, and they'll lift to that. But
They'll follow you.
they'll realize that they feel bad, and that doesn't feel bad what they're seeing out of
Yeah.
you. But if you punish a kid because they're feeling bad right now, they're in a bad emotional state, they will resist you like you won't believe. They do not want to feel like you act when you are
Yes.
implementing that punishment. So they're going to resist it.
So it's the interchange of energy,
Correct?
and it's a draw of bringing a little more positive up,
Yes.
so that kid wants to be attracted to it, because positive attracts, negative.
Repels, exactly. And that's all Mr. Silva did. Every time that I saw him, he had a smile on his face. Every time I came to the school, he was glad to
He
see
was glad
me.
to see you.
Exactly.
I love that.
It's simple.
Have you ever thought about have you ever thought about doing camps for kids who have troubled emotions?
My team is very much into this mission, and the people
I
that
feel that.
the people that I work with are very much into this mission. My job is different now. I feel a different path. I mentioned I had a back injury that got me off the floor.
Yeah.
That was God's guidance. Now I'm doing public speaking. Now I'm doing coaching. Now I'm working with business owners to help them through their problems so they can get their business back on track. And my team, my guys, they're carrying the torch from where I left off.
I feel like there might be another road for you too. I just feel that.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
This whole
I think
parenting workshop and things. There's,
Your messaging is right on track right now with people needing to hear this.
Thank you.
Kids are so depressed, the COVID thing, confused. And I think it starts with the parents. I think the parents have to create the atmosphere in some ways.
Absolutely.
Because if
Absolutely.
you're depressed in that home, it just follows. It just follows. That energy will follow everybody. So clearing the home of negative energy and trying, even though you may not feel happy as a parent, you got to fake it till you make it, in my mind.
Well, or you could get help. You know, my parents, they
Yeah.
lost their other son.
Yeah.
And they,
How did they handle it?
oh, they were crushed. They were devastated. Can you imagine?
I don't want to imagine it.
They were absolutely devastated. And then to have their other son to be in so much trouble at that point was crippling to them.
Wow.
They had a hard time controlling their emotional state. But my 2-hour vacation a week at the martial arts academy, they didn't have to coach me because they gave somebody that
They
coaching
gave their
responsibility.
worry to somebody else.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that was a big part of the healing process too.
Wow.
Because if you're in a negative emotional state, you can't help people get out of it. If you're
No.
broke, you can't give people money.
No.
If you're depressed, you can't make people happy.
Exactly. I love this. This has been, I mean, I want people to understand energy well. That's one of my big things. I look at everything energy. And the energy of emotion, the energy of love, the energy of everything around you. Houses have energy. Buildings have energy. Businesses have energy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even a relationship has energy.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you could have love energy with two group of people. You just put another person in there, and now all of a sudden there's hate energy. it could shift quickly.
Well, and I think the way you speak about how you teach, I think it's really poignant.
I'm trying to get people to understand that the law of attraction is not woo-woo.
No, it's not.
It's not mysterious. It's not mystical. The people see, well, you ran into his mailbox. That's mystical. No, it's not. It's guidance.
No.
It's guidance. It's
It
me.
happens for a reason.
Yes, and it happens to all of us.
Yeah, there's always certain things that happen in your life that you can't explain.
Right.
But it's there. Can I tell the story?
Absolutely. Sure. You do whatever you want.
Well, I'll kind of tell it this way. I had to be careful. So I have a gentleman, a wife and a gentleman, or girlfriend and a guy living next door to us. We really don't know him well. Nice guys, nice people, really nice people. My sister-in-law never comes to visit, but she comes to visit us, and she's with her husband, and she went through, before I met her, she went through a horrible divorce, and it was very hard for her for years, trying to recover from that. And here we are at a park, and my sister-in-law, who hasn't visited us in 5 years, she decides to go back. We're at some kind of music festival thing. We see our neighbors. Hey, neighbors, we've been here a year already. And we know them, we say hi, we're talking, and all of a sudden I hear the gentleman, our neighbor, asked my man if his sister was named this. And I said, how would you know that? Because my husband was mentioning something that Spirit has thought. He was the brother-in-law to my sister-in-law. He was married to her husband's sister. And the husband wasn't a great guy. My sister-in-law's ex-husband was not a good man. But she had never healed completely. And that day, we told him that my sister-in-law was at the house. He goes, I have to come see her. And they go, oh, okay. And we're like kind of freaked out because we don't know which way it's going to go. He comes over and they have the best time. And then later, my sister-in-law told me that she felt a lot of healing because she wondered if she was even missed when she left, because she kind of left immediately, just packed up and went home. This happened in Texas, by the way. We live here, and she was from California. So how does that person in my next-door neighbor, we don't find out about it
Powerful.
till the perfect timing of her being here and visiting.
That timing is everything.
And it was all about healing. And I do believe the people upstairs were working it. His ex-wife, who was passed on, or his wife, who he was a widower, and my father-in-law probably was helping the situation.
Yeah, calculate the odds of that.
I think your brother probably put you in that right place at the right time to help you conquer it.
That's what the whole autopilot when I was driving feeling was.
Wow. There's no mysteries in this world.
No, not at all.
I love how you say the woo-woo thing. It cracks me up because woo-woo gets such a bad rap.
Yeah.
Just
'Cause
look at it energetically.
I want to share a marketing story because this will help people get a better grasp of how this works in concrete for business.
I love that. Go ahead.
I'm on LinkedIn, and I was doing some journal work. I want to build my business, so what am I going to do for marketing? And at that point that I said that, I'm like, I don't feel like it. And I paid attention to that feeling.
Okay.
And I kept just, all right, well, let that go. I don't have to force myself to do anything. And I, just did some journal work to feel better about business. And the way that I got there is I just started talking about how much I love my clients. And I talk about loving my clients, and I go, okay, now I'm feeling good. I decided to get up onto LinkedIn, and I was drawn to look at people who've seen my profile. And I reached out to this one woman who owns a plumbing company, and it just so happens we had this pipe break in our basement just recently. And I'm like, I think I'm supposed to hire you to do my plumbing work, but then I saw you're from Illinois, and I'm in Denver. So I decided I would just say hi.
Oh,
And then she responded, yeah, that's right, the 15-hour drive is a little too much for my crew right now. But I'm glad that you reached out because I need a coach to help me with marketing and selling.
a sign. Perfect sign.
That's what I mean. That's how you apply this. It's not woo-woo. It's not
No.
woo-woo. There's an instinct. You have a sixth sense.
There's an attraction, a laws of attraction.
Yes.
You put it out there and you got a message.
Correct.
And sometimes people don't pay attention to those messages. But I think we're getting close to the end of our conversation today.
This was really great for me.
Oh, for me
Thank you.
too.
Thank
I
you for letting me be
really
here.
thoroughly enjoyed talking to you, Scott. You're a breath of fresh air.
Thank you. So are
Yeah,
you.
and you gave me a book you wrote. I love this.
Yeah, my site is Law of Attraction BIZ, Law of Attraction Biz, if anybody wants to learn more about me.
Okay.
I also have a new site. I got my name, scottaksamit.com. But that's not up yet. But just in case you guys hear this long after it's been recorded, check that out too.
I love that. And I have a feeling you're going a lot of places. So that's my intuitive sense.
Well, that's really good to know.
Yeah. One last, anything you want to throw out before we end today?
Last 2 words of my book, Celebrate Life. Don't forget that.
Amen. Life is, we only have a short time on this earth, and we don't know how long it's going to be. So you better well live it well and have a smile on your face.
The good stuff and the bad stuff.
Absolutely, because the bad stuff helps you become your stronger self
Yeah,
and who you
indeed.
are today.
Indeed.
Yeah, and love yourself well. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yay.